Howdy folks, this is Big Sam. I'm out here today with my Mosin. As you can probably tell, it's a cool, chilly day out here in Colorado. Now, if you're a boring kind of person, you're probably saying, Big Sam, you should put a jacket on, that's the solution. However, if you're an avid, that's a hard word, watcher of this channel, you have a much better solution. In fact, you're probably screaming at your phone or television set right now saying, Big Sam, all you need to do is strap a flamethrower to your 9130 rifle, and then you'll never be cold again. Now that's what I'm talking about, and that's the kind of solutions we like here on the channel. Very innovative. But what if I told you that you're not the first person to think that was a good idea, strapping a flamethrower to a Mosin like this? Let's take a look at who thought of that idea first. This is a Mosin Nagant flamethrower, going all the way back to World War II. Now, why exactly did somebody think this was a good idea? Well, you see, to understand that, we have to go back to even at the beginning of World War II, and even before that in the Winter War with Finland, when the Soviets had flamethrower troops. Now, one of the things that they noticed with their flamethrower troops was that they were really special purpose. All you can really do is handle a flamethrower, you can't do a lot. And the problem is they only had effective range to about 30 meters. Now, case in point, this is the Soviet ROKS, R-O-K-S, flamethrower. And this is what they used throughout World War II, and it was pretty effective. But like I said, it had some problems. So if you wanted to go out in combat with this, you had to have support from ranged troops, right? If you could only be effective to something like 30 meters, you got to have a bunch of guys to help you. So they wanted to form a super soldier that can do everything. And that's where we get this abomination. So we have here a flame trooper with a Mosin, and he even still has the bayonet. I love it, folks. So the idea is that he can be close quarter support and long range support when he needs to, but otherwise he can just be the normal old flamethrower. Now, this one had some pros and some cons, but first of all, who did this? Well, it seems like it was the officers of the Leningrad training grounds sometime around 1943, and maybe their minds had been perverted from starvation and they thought that this would be the ultimate super soldier. That's my best thought on this. So exactly what happened here? Well, first of all, the pros. We really only have one pro here, which is, well, you've put a flamethrower on a Mosin. But that's about where the pros end, as awesome as that is, and it sounds pretty cool to have like a World War II Iron Man, like super soldier type guy with a Mosin flamethrower bayonet thing. But in reality, there are quite a lot of problems. So the first problem is that when they did initial testing, they filled it with water, which was a good idea instead of the fuel, because they had a lot of problems with leaking. And in fact, the whole attachment that you can see here to the stock would actually come loose. That's not really what you want when you're shooting fire, like, 20 meter flames from your Mosin. That's a little scary. But past that, you also had an issue of igniting. Now, how would we ignite it? Because you don't have anything like a pilot light or any igniter. You'd actually use the gun, in theory, to ignite it. You would fire a cartridge. But you would need some sort of special cartridge that could ignite it. But the problem was, even when they used tracer rounds, it seems like 1 out of every 22 cartridges would successfully ignite the flamethrower. Because remember, the little tube attached to the Mosin is going to be shooting out the fuel, but something has to light it on fire. That's what that cartridge was supposed to do, but only a very small percentage of the time. And they tried all sorts of stuff, wooden training rounds to armor-piercing incendiary rounds. Nothing would ignite it reliably. So it seems like you'd be in combat and you'd be shooting at guys, and every once in a while your shot would give them more than they bargained for and send out a 20-meter ball of fire. Well, that's exciting. But like it was like having a normal flamethrower, only worse, is what they found, because it actually had a shorter range. It would only go to about 20 meters instead of the typical 30 meters-ish. It depends, but ish from that Rock's flamethrower. So not as effective as a flamethrower, hard to ignite, and it made it difficult to use in hand-to-hand combat. Now you'll see here it has a bayonet, but it's attached to this big old unwieldy thing, and you got this heavy backpack, so trying to go into hand-to-hand combat or bayonet fighting with this, no thank you. That didn't really work out so well. Also, they found out that firing the cartridge that was supposed to ignite it could end up damaging the bore. So I guess they might have tried some other special sauce on bullets, and even those didn't seem to reliably ignite it, but they would also just basically burn out the bore. And unfortunately, it seems that from this igniter compound, or just the combustion of the igniter compound, it would deposit horrible products into the bore. And just from that, I mean, you're going to have a lot of problems, but it's going to really give you accuracy problems. But also, it made it even harder to actually ignite the flamethrower when you wanted to. So, as it turns out, unfortunately, this didn't actually go into full-scale production. But let's face it, let's give the boys from Leningrad training grounds some credit here. If you're the kind of person that thinks it's a good idea to put a flamethrower on a Mosin, you're my kind of people. And what's great, here in America, flamethrowers aren't almost regulated at all. So maybe in the future we can look to actually putting a flamethrower on a Mosin. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope you got a kick out of this. If you like more Mosin Nagant content like this, please consider subscribing. Let me know if y'all have any prayer requests, and we'll see you next time.